So you're talking about immigration.
Yeah, and I want to talk about immigration because the Bible talks about immigration. The Bible is very, very pointed about how to treat the alien that's in your midst. As a matter of fact, that very famous passage from the 25th chapter of Matthew, I was hungry, did you feed me? Naked, did you clothe me? Sick, did you care for me? The word in the original language is, I was an alien. Did you make room for me? Whoa. Whoa, that's heavy. When Jewish people celebrate the Seder feast, they always do it by reminding the children at the Seder feast. We must always treat the alien with respect and care, because we were once aliens in Egypt. We were once strangers in a distant land. Whoa. Remember that you were once an alien. That's what every Jew is reminded. You were once an alien. Remember that. I pointed out in an earlier show that when they come across the border, they do it because they're poor. And in this country, it takes 2 years to get a green card before you can get a job. So they're going to sneak into the country and get a job illegally, because getting it legally requires that you have a means of supporting yourself for 2 years and the means of hiring a lawyer to take care of the paperwork. So they're going to come illegally. But the question is, what do you do about the 12 million aliens that are already here? I want to make a proposal.
Okay.
President Bush, who has a heart for these aliens, whatever you can say, he cares about these people more than any other person in government. His own party doesn't like him when he starts talking about aliens, because one of his sons is married to a woman who is of Mexican lineage. And so he has a great sense of care for those who are in this country as aliens. And he said, here's what I'm suggesting, that you return to your home country. You stay there for 2 years, pay a $5,000 fine, pay your back taxes on the money you earned. Well, that's not going to happen. I have a better idea. All illegal aliens should go down to the custom house, register immediately, and get a green card. As soon as their name is cleared, their name should be researched in terms of whether they have a criminal record, whether they are drug pushers, whether they have tendencies towards terrorism. We should know who's coming into this country and who's here. Mm-hmm. They should register immediately and immediately get a green card. They should be expected to pay not a $5,000 fine, but a $10,000 fine. They should not only pay their back taxes, but their back taxes with interest. They broke the law. They should be held responsible. But here's the caveat. I contend that we should have them pay the fine and their back taxes by taking 10% out of their income each year when they fill out their income tax until those bills are paid.
On top of their regular taxes?
On top of their regular taxes. Now you say, but they're already in the state of privation. But the studies indicate that most illegal aliens are working 20% below the minimum wage. So, if we make them legal and their income increases 20%, and then we come back and say, but you got to give half of this back.
They're really ahead.
They're really ahead. And they pay their fine, and they pay their back taxes, so that America gets the benefit of those things, and they get to stay in this country because we need them. They are performing necessary services for our nation.
But then you wouldn't be able to get them so cheaply.
But I don't want to get them cheaply. I want to get them to be decent pay for decent labor. The book of James says, "Woe unto you who do not pay the workers right." The injustices howl before the Lord.
Would the job still be there?
Yeah, I think they'd still be there. Somebody's got to pick up these heads of lettuce, and somebody's got to pick up the grapes, and somebody's got to do this work. And most they rightly say, we do the work that you people don't want to do. And there's truth to that.
Well, you make it sound so simple.
You know, I think that most of the problems can be solved simply. The reality is that Einstein said, when he came up with this theory, E equals MC squared. You see, you generally, when you go into a classroom in chemistry or physics, these formulas are all over the board, you know, this equals that. You've seen those blackboards come. And, you know, Einstein comes in, takes the board eraser, erases all of this stuff off, writes E equals MC squared, that's it. And you say, that's too simple.
But it wasn't, evidently.
Yeah, so
I still don't know what that is.
it's called, who's the name of the guy? Jesus, Bacon's, I think it's Bacon's razor, they call it. That in fact, the simplest answer is usually the true answer. The simplest answer is usually the best answer.
Now, when you studied under that one summer,
Yes.
what was it, Einstein?
Well,
Did he explain E equals MC squared to you?
Well, he talked about relativity theory. We never got into E equals MC squared because I never was able to get my handle on that. But energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. So that's it, man.
I'm so glad God didn't require me to be that smart.
He did explain how energy is dissipated, and that formula, of course, became the basis for the atom bomb. You see, the interesting thing about that summer is that Einstein was there teaching, but Reinhold Niebuhr was teaching philosophy, and Arnold Toynbee was teaching history, and it was just a short period of time. But here we were, a group of young, aspiring intellectuals, sitting under the greatest minds of the world.
Wouldn't you love to go back?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure most of it passed over our heads. We just kind of sat there like...
I mean, did you realize?
Yeah, oh yeah, we realized what we were doing.
Einstein was?
Oh yes, we knew it. We knew it. We knew what we were in the.
You were 15?
We were in the presence of greatness. We were in the presence of greatness. Yeah.
Did you understand?
Now, there's a funny story.
There's a German accent.
Yeah, he was easy to understand. There's a funny story. Every afternoon he would take a walk through the park right near his house. And one day he's walking through the park, and there's this kid sitting on a bench, really depressed. And Einstein sat down and said, "What's your problem?" And the boy said, "I'm having trouble in math. I can't do my math." And he said, "How old are you?" And the boy said, "I'm 10 years old." Einstein said, "When I was 10 years old, I had trouble in math too. I actually failed mathematics when I was 10 years old. But I got over it, and I'm pretty good at math right now."
I guess.
And he said, "I come by here every day, and if you're here, I'll help you go over your homework to see whether or not you did your homework right." So the kids, every day on the way home from school, Einstein met him, went over his homework, talked about where he was making mistakes and helped him along. And the kids' grades began improving and improving. Remarkable improvement. And the teacher said, "How come you're doing so well?" And the kid said, "Well, every day when I'm in the park, I meet this old man." Well, needless to say, the teacher immediately called the police. And so the next day, as Einstein's walking through the park, and here's this kid, the cops come up and start to arrest him. And he said, "I haven't done anything wrong." He said, "I'm Albert Einstein. I'm helping this." "Sure you are."
Oh, my goodness.
So that's a funny story that went around. That was a funny story that went around, yeah.
You think it's true?
Yeah.